In this episode, Sad Cat gave Olia an ultimatum. Either marry her son, Chihan, or leave the house and take her son with her. Olia was stunned by the suggestion, expressing her disbelief given that her husband had just passed away a week ago. She voiced her regret about coming to them in the first place to honor her husband's last wish, and said she would return to Canada with her son. Reluctantly, she went to her room, and Chihan sought a conversation with his mother. He assured her he would find a way to help them leave, as he was the one who had brought them there. He questioned his sister about how they managed to escape undetected, suspecting that the car key had been in her room. Despite his mother's insistence on the marriage, Chihan explained that he could never marry Olia and repeat the same mistakes. He told her that this would force Olia to leave her son and return to Canada. Suddenly, they discovered that Nora had been involved in helping Olia and Denise escape, and Chihan questioned her actions. Nora explained that she was deceived by the lawyer and didn't know the consequences. She told Kay that, like her, he too would one day marry against his will, suffering from Ziren's actions. Kay, however, dismissed her words and refused to feel guilty for his decisions. Sad Cat, angry, struck Nora, and later, they learned that Olia had been in a distressed state, destroying her room. Chihan went to speak with her, but Olia insisted that he could not marry her, and she asked him to convince his mother to let her take her son and leave. Chihan warned her that Demir might find them in Canada, but Olia declared that she would protect her son, even if it meant staying hidden for life. The next morning, gunshots rang out as Eugen arrived to take Nora, but Chihan intervened. Nora, determined to leave with Eugen, refused to listen. In a heated argument, Chihan grabbed Eugen and hit him, but in the struggle he accidentally pushed Nora, causing her to fall and bleed. Olia immediately insisted they take her to the hospital, and Chihan was overcome with guilt. At the hospital, it was revealed that the bleeding had stopped, but the pregnancy remained at risk, and the doctor advised Olia to stay until her condition improved. Afterward, Sad Cat left for the palace but was stopped by Monia, who introduced herself and showed interest in getting to know her. Chihan, still feeling the tension, decided to take Monia home, but she opted for a taxi instead. However, Chihan followed her, eventually driving her to the palace. To their surprise, when they arrived, Sad Cat had packed her things and was preparing to leave for Canada. Olia told her she couldn't leave, as she needed to stay with her son. Chihan firmly told Olia that he couldn't let her leave, but Sathaket was resolute in her decision. Furious, she packed her belongings, only to realize that her son's passport was missing. When she asked about it, Sathaket informed her that she would be traveling alone, leaving her son behind. Olia refused to leave without him and insisted on seeing her son to get his opinion. Chihan, visibly distressed by her sorrow, instructed the assistant to bring Denise to her. When Denise arrived, Olia explained that she needed to return to Canada for work. Denise, however, expressed his desire to stay in the palace, where his father was buried. Olia tried to persuade him to come with her, but Denise stood firm in his decision. Chihan then ordered Kay to take Denise to his room and told Olia that the boy had made his choice. He advised her to calm down and take Denise to the airport to return to Canada. After packing her things, Olia left, but Chihan was confident that Olia wouldn't leave her son behind. He instructed Kadir and Zafer to monitor and protect her. Upon reaching the hotel, Olia attempted to pay the bill, only to find that her bank accounts had been frozen. The hotel clerk directed her to try the main machine outside, and Zafer and Kadir followed her. Zafer then called Chihan, informing him that letting Olia leave had been a mistake, as her condition was worsening and she couldn't even pay for the hotel. Chihan told him to send Kadir to handle the payment and keep an eye on her. When they returned to the hotel, Olia tried paying with dollars, but the clerk informed her that her room had already been paid for. She asked who had paid, but the clerk refused to reveal the name. Olia, realizing it was Chihan, angrily threw the money into the street. Meanwhile, back at Chihan's house, he confronted Nardim, asking him who had shot at their truck. Nardim denied any involvement and claimed not to know who was responsible. He suggested that smuggling weapons out of his land would solve all their problems, but Chihan didn't trust him and threatened him. Just then, Chihan received a call from Denise, who wanted him to talk to his mother because he missed him. Chihan promised to speak with him once he got home. Later, Demir walked in, and Chihan motioned for him to sit with them. He told Demir that this was their opportunity to eliminate everyone together. Cihan also made it clear that he would not allow Demir to come anywhere near Olia or her son again. At that moment, he removed the safety pin from the bomb, which caused Nadim to feel exhausted and decide to reveal everything he knew to Cihan. Meanwhile, Olia was at Eugene's bank, telling him that she was facing issues with her cards and couldn't access any funds. She needed a loan, but Eugene informed her that the bank wouldn't approve it. He suggested they could help her recover her money from Canada. When he asked her what her plans were, Olia explained that returning to Canada wasn't an option, as they had taken her son from her. Eugene asked why she hadn't filed a complaint to reclaim her son, but Olia revealed that she had shot Cihan, and they had threatened to report her if she attempted to take her son back through legal means. Despite this, she intended to seek legal advice from a lawyer about her situation. Eugene told her that all the lawyers in the country were too frightened of them to help, but there was one person who might stand up to them, Bahadur. He assured her he would arrange a meeting with him and keep her informed. Meanwhile, Nara was visited by Minnie, who came to check on her. Minnie asked why Olia hadn't traveled and wasn't with them. Nara was taken aback by the question and, feeling embarrassed, told Minnie that it wasn't any of her business. We returned to Cihan, who called one of his men to inform him that they had located Izzet. He ordered them to bring him to his location. When he asked his mother about Denise, she mentioned that he was feeling down and kept asking for his mother. Cihan reassured her that this was normal and cautioned her about it. She showed him a video of Olia rejecting the money, which made Cihan smile, admiring her refusal to accept anything from them. His mother suggested that Cihan stop offering money so Olia would have no choice but to leave. However, Cihan explained that Olia had genuinely refused the money and hadn't made any plans to leave. All he cared about now was checking on Denise. He went to see the boy, who was still sad and refusing to talk. Denise pleaded with Cihan to call his mother, hoping to hear from her. Cihan, moved by his request, handed over his mother's phone number and they called her. When Olia heard Denise's voice, she broke down in tears and couldn't speak. Cihan took the phone from Denise, telling Olia they needed to end the call quickly. After hanging up, Denise asked why his mother didn't talk to him. Cihan realized the phone signal was weak, and Denise's friends entered. Denise told them his mother refused to speak with him, and he wanted to see her. He asked if she had really gone to Canada, but his friends lied, claiming that Olia had left for Canada due to her work. Devastated, Denise ran away from the room. Cihan angrily chased after him, explaining that Olia had to travel for work but would return. Denise realized he couldn't live without her and decided that if she couldn't come to him, he would go to her. Meanwhile, Cihan called Olia to ask why she hadn't responded to her son, who was heartbroken and always asking about her. Olia explained that she didn't know what to say, especially if Denise asked her to return to the palace, as he wouldn't understand the situation. She said she would sacrifice herself and not respond until they brought her son back. Cihan reassured her, asking her to calm down and return to the palace, promising he would convince his mother to allow her to stay with Denise. He also assured her that he would never marry her. That night, Cihan spoke with Denise and asked about his mother's family. Denise explained that he didn't know them well, but there was a woman in Canada who raised him before she passed away due to illness. Meanwhile, Olia received a message from Ajin, informing her that he had arranged a meeting with a lawyer for the next morning. Back with Cihan, his mother told him that he needed to let Olia take her son and leave, and that he would send 2 men with them for protection, as Denise was still young and needed his mother. However, Cihan firmly rejected this idea, stating he would never repeat the mistake they made with her brother. Cihan then went to see Izzet, warning him that he would punish him if he allowed Olia to travel again. Izzet, tired of the situation, admitted that he had a promise to keep for his brother, Baron, and needed to fulfill it. Cihan accused him of trying to deceive him, but Izzet insisted he had a flash drive left by Baron, which he needed to hand over in case anything happened to him. Izzet also warned Cihan that Olia should not know about it. Cihan demanded to know what was on the flash drive, but Izzet revealed that it was encrypted and could only be accessed with the password, which was Cihan's name. Cihan insisted on keeping Izzet until he handed over the flash drive. After returning home, Cihan managed to open the flash drive, discovering a message from his late brother. Baron had cut off contact with them when he arrived in Canada because he feared for Olia's safety. especially after hearing that she intended to bury him in his hometown to ensure she and Denise would be under his protection. Baron also expressed his love for Olia and revealed that he had no intention of marrying her, but he would ensure she and Denise were safe for the rest of their lives. Chihan, deeply moved by his brother's words, broke down in tears. At that moment, Denise's friends entered, overheard the message, and were shocked. Chihan left the room, devastated. The next morning, Olia met with Ajin and the lawyer. Meanwhile, Zafer called Chihan, telling him that they were meeting near the security center. Chihan arrived unexpectedly, forcibly taking Olia with him. She tried to resist and almost collided with a car, but Chihan caught her just in time. The police arrived, checking on Olia and asking for her ID. Upon discovering her identity as Olia Buera, they informed her that a report had been filed against her. Olia and the lawyer were escorted to the security center, where the authorities questioned whether Olia had intended to shoot Chihan or if it had been an accident. Bahadur, her lawyer, informed her that Chihan had testified against her, claiming that she had meant to shoot him. Olia was shocked, having expected Chihan to defend her. Later, Chihan approached her and offered to change his testimony, claiming it was an accident, but with one condition. Olia had to marry him and live with him in the palace. Olia was stunned by his proposition.